You all might be getting a whole lot of videos today, so we're just gonna see how it goes because I am honestly unsure of what I'm gonna end up doing. But the fact that I wanted to pull out my camera and actually record something felt significant. So, hi, it's me, Camila Rose, and I'm back. It's been a good minute. Where are we at? We never even did, I think, a week 26, 25. Here he goes. Review, which I don't know if I'm even gonna do. I think I'm just gonna do, let's do the fourth quarter and then let's do our breakdown for overall 185 Insane, because I do have stuff from that. Cat will be messing with stuff in the background, just ignore it. Okay, so for the fourth quarter, let's go look at the fourth quarter because I did write all that down. Okay, so here are my stats. Here's how things went. Okay, well, I guess I could do week 26. So for week 26, I wrote 1,396 words. As you all know, I had a goal to do 7,000 words a week. And as I was getting closer to the end of the challenge, I was like, oh, I'm done with all the writing that needs to happen and all these different things. So I need to switch that goal up. And so by the end, I was writing a very little bit. My total for the quarter was 26,971, which was 64% of the 42,000 goal. And then for editing, I edited about 3 days for the Venus Intensive, 1 day for the night ritual, which is great because I hadn't been working on that at all. For a total of 25 days editing for the entire quarter, which left me with about 60% of my goal to get to 42. And then that was just for the Venus ritual. For total, I did 26, which put me for 84, which only put me about 30% of the goal. So as far as editing went, I find, which you'll see, I kind of struggle with doing the editing. The writing, I can get myself to kind of get into a groove with. The editing is a moment. So we'll be working on that. I did attend 2 author events that quarter. So I made my goal. Yay for me. I didn't do anything with the query, which I think I have some fear around that, so I'll explore some of that later. For the professional, for my content, I posted every day. I did 2 hours of work every day. So I did 40 for 2 hours of work, so about 95%, and then 42 out of 42, so 100% for the content every day. Didn't send a lot of outreach, only did 1 email, which I want to do 1 at least per week. And so I got about 16% there. For drop-offs, didn't do any of those. I did attend 1 event, so that did make my goal for 100% for TBI, none for Evolve Yoga Lounge. For finances, I tracked my finances 2 times on the 26th week, a total of 19 for the fourth quarter out of 42. For my health goals, this is when I actually start getting into stuff because I always track up and fail up with these. Walking 5 times a week, 4 miles a day. I did that 6 out of 7, and I did a total for the quarter of 37%, 37 times. So I only was supposed to do 30, so I did 123%. For running, I did running 16 out of 18. I ran 2 times that week on the 26th week. And so that put me at about 89% towards my goal. And then for weight training, I did 0. So a total for the quarter, I did 4 out of 18, so about 22%. Not the greatest at weight training. Stanley's, I did 7 out of 7. Vitamins, I did, looks like 40 out of 42. So I was kind of close with the vitamins. I usually end up maybe missing 1 day, 1 week or something like that. I have my vitamins though in that nice little container that has them split up by day, so it's easy to see if I skipped one. So did pretty okay with that. Yoga, didn't do any yoga classes, so didn't make that goal at all. I teach yoga, but I have a difficult time getting myself into the studio to practice, although I made some changes, not necessarily around going into the studio, but some yoga changes. We'll talk about that when we talk about what I'm doing for this season. Then for personal, a long walk, anything longer than 4 miles, which I only did 4 miles. That one, I was really burnt out towards the end of the year. So I did a total of 29 miles total for the quarter. And then for Snow's social media, 7 out of 7 for or 7 out of 7 for the week of 26, 7 times for the 6 weeks, so 42 out of 42. For after 9, I was a little wonky on that one, but I did a total of 7 out of 7 for week 26. And then I did 38 out of 42, which gave me about 90%. And then for, I don't even know what this one is. Okay, read for 30 minutes. Read for 30 minutes, I did a total of 34 out of 42, so about 81%. For play 2 times a week for at least 1 hour doing something fun, I did that 1 time that last week. Total for the quarter was 9 out of 14. Then for spiritual tuning forks, I had 7 out of 7, ancestors 7 out of 7, meditation 7 out of 7, and then take a bath, spiritual bath 3 times out of the weekend. I did 3 out of 3. For the quarter for tuning forks, I did 39 out of 42, left me about 93%. I did 38 out of 42, which left me at about 90% for ancestors. I did 42 out of 42 for meditation, so I meditated every day that quarter, which is fantastic now that I look at it. And then I took spiritual baths almost for the entire time. I did 17 out of 18, which put me at about 94%. Now let me see if there's anything else. So when I look at my total 185 insane, because I did change kind of what I was tracking each quarter, it's difficult for me to be able to actually analyze and be able to compare them because they're not the same. So the only ones that I kept up with for the entire quarter were riding 1K a day, content at least 3 pieces, 10K steps, which I just switched over to 4 miles, a long walk, no socials before 9, no socials after 9, and then reading. So let's look at those for each quarter. So writing 1K a day for the first quarter, I ended up writing 6,608 words. Yes, that is correct, which my goal for 1 week was 7K. For the first quarter, I was just like I'd set the goal to do it, but I didn't actually get started with it and like really lock in until the second quarter. So for the second quarter, I did 54,000 for roughly. For the third quarter, I did 50,000. For the fourth quarter, I did 26,971. For a total, so for the last 6 months, I wrote a total of 138,105 words. My goal is to write about 182,000 words, so I hit about 75% of my goal, which I think is pretty good. And it makes me think about like folks who are like, oh, I want to write a book, or I want to do this, I want to get a first draft. And like over 6 months, writing every week, where that first week I really didn't even write that much, and then first quarter I didn't write that much, fourth quarter I didn't write that much. Like I still was able to write what would have been the equivalent of a total novel. So a little bit goes a long way. And I think it's one of those things where you have to have that collective action where you just keep going. You just keep doing the thing so that you can build up to get where it is you want to be. If you write a little bit every day, eventually you will write a whole book, novel, novellas, short story, poems, whatever it is you're looking to do. And I think that that can carry over into so many other activities that we like to do. If you want to be someone who, does yoga, rollerblades, learns how to do ballet, learns how to do whatever, if you do a little bit every day, you'll practice a little bit every day, you'll get better, and you'll build towards it every single day. And it doesn't have to be every day, as you all can see, which I think is also important around the tracking of this, is that I didn't do this stuff every single day. I was not, I think 75 hard is this really interesting concept. And I do truly see it as more of a mental challenge, mental toughness challenge, as they like to call it, because I didn't even have to do this every day. I just had to do it consistently enough to actually build at it, to actually make progress towards the things I was doing. It wasn't where it was like, oops, if I missed a day, terrible, failure. It was just like, oh, okay, like get back to it tomorrow. If I notice that like my patterns around when I'm stressed out or when I have a lot going on, and then because I'm tracking it, I come back to, oh yeah, I said I was going to do this thing. Let me get back into it. Let's talk about the next one, content. 3 pieces of content a day. For the first quarter, I did 37 total. For the second quarter, I did 45. For the third quarter, I did 47. For the fourth quarter, I did 42. I did a total of 178 out of 182. It wasn't actually like 185, which I think is funny. 171 out of 182, which gave me about 93.5%, 93.9%. So it's really about 94%, which I think is pretty good. And I had my friend ask me, she was like, okay, so did your like social media stuff grow? And I mean, it grew. Some of my numbers increased and things like that. But I think what I was more interested in was getting comfortable and just like sharing, not feeling like I had to hide or overthink. It was just allowing myself to be open in that way. Of course, my battery's about to die. 10K steps, 4 miles for the quarter. For the first quarter, I did 45. For the second, I did 47. For the third, I did 47. And for the fourth, I did 29 for a total of 168. I don't actually have like a goal for that one. So I just did a total of 168 miles. Like fathoming that like over 6 months, I walked 168 miles. I think it's just so fun and so cool to just know. And then no socials before 9, 27 for the first quarter, 46 for the second quarter, 48 for the third quarter, 42 for the fourth quarter. A total of 163 days out of 182 days, which gave me about 89.5%, about 90%. For after 9, 42 for the first quarter, 47 for the second quarter, 37 for the fourth, and then 38 for the fourth quarter. So a total of 164, which out of 182 gave me about 90%. It's interesting, right? Because like they vary, right? But I still ended up doing about the same at the 6 week, which is where I'm like, this idea that we have of what consistency means, I think we have to have a little bit more grace for ourselves and a little bit more leeway, because I did 27 before 9, no socials before 9, 27 days in the first quarter. And I still ended up making about 163, which was still less than what I ended up doing for the no socials after 9, which I did 42 days on the first quarter, because I did less on the third and fourth quarter for no socials after 9. So it's like the balance and the grace and the being more gentle and like nicer to ourselves, not feeling like we have to like drill sergeant ourselves into changing our behaviors or matching what it is that we think that we should be doing. So I think that one's interesting. And finally, for reading at least 30 minutes a day. First quarter, 29, second quarter, 49, third quarter, 46 days, and fourth quarter, 34 days, for a total of 158 days out of the 182 days, which gave me about 86.8%. So that's like kind of the roundup for all 4 quarters for my 185 insane, which actually ended up being like 182 insane. But anyways, so what do I think about all of that? Like, it didn't make me a super successful author because I didn't publish any of my stuff yet. But I did finish a lot more things. I made such good progress on the Venus Intensive, and I got over my fear of like feeling like, oh, I said I'm going to publish by this date, so I just have to get it out. Who cares if it's not done? Who cares if it's not where I would want it to be? Like, just do what you say you're going to do. When it was like, this is lackluster. This is not the type of information and art I want to share with people. So I went back in, and the depth that I got from actually writing the book I wanted to write, and from how it informed the things that I do, my ritual, my lifestyle, the services that I provide for others, because I do a lot. I incorporate a lot of the work that I do, that I wrote about in the Venus Intensive, in what I do for other people with sound baths and yoga and with events. And because I was able to get so in depth there and to write about it in that nature and to put everything together, to synthesize the information in that format, it greatly improved the level of service that I was able to provide for people, and the way that I'm able to, like when I do my tarot readings, how I'm able to connect with them and connect different stories and different ways of sharing information with them and to inform them of things. Like, it just really improved overall my level of profession and expertise in these areas, because I took the time to actually work through it instead of rushing just so that I could meet the deadline, this arbitrary deadline that I set for myself. It's an arbitrary deadline I set for myself. I think because I am older, I'm 38, and I have a commitment to myself in a certain way of taking a lot of the lessons that I've learned over the years and about myself, and incorporating that and honoring that and listening to myself and allowing a lot more graciousness, a lot more space, a lot less judgment and shaming of myself and where I am and what I'm doing or what's happening. That this was not as stressful of a challenge. I think for me, my biggest thing is that, like, I'm not going to stress myself out about something that I choose to do, that no one is making me do. If I choose to do a challenge, if I chose to do 75 Insane, if I chose to do 185 Insane, if I chose to do a writer's challenge or a artist challenge or a health challenge or something like that, if I decide to take on some goals or set some intentions or attempt to achieve a certain status or finish a project, I'm not going to stress myself out about something that I've chosen to do. It doesn't make sense to me, I guess, logically, because I chose to do this thing and I can always change my mind. And I don't shame myself for choosing to change my mind, for maybe recognizing that at this time and place, this isn't a good fit, for understanding that this is not healthy for me, or that I need to prioritize something different because something outside of my control has changed. And so because I give myself that honesty, in my opinion, and being realistic, it was never a stressful thing about, oh my gosh, I said I was going to do this. I'm not doing it. I only did it 3 times this week when I said I wanted to do it 7 times and all this other stuff. Like, the commitment to completion was the important thing, not the frequency in which I was able to continue with the behaviors week to week or month to month or quarter to quarter. My commitment was to see this through to the end, to try my best, to do as well as I could. And that I saw through to the end. I was like, either way, if I never send a single email, I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm going to keep looking at the fact that I didn't send an email every week. And I'm just going to have to own that. I'm going to have to own that truth of what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, what I said I was going to do, and what I said I wasn't going to do. Like, I had to own it. And I think that because of that, it's just always been easier for me to finish, because I know that I can. I know that I can, and I know that I will. And while it might not be 100%, it'll be done. And what is that they say? Perfection is the enemy of progress or completion or something like that. 100%, 95%, 90%, like, needing to reach this arbitrary guideline is a recipe for me to just punish myself when I don't need to. And I can allow myself to make that progress, to see what's working and see what isn't. That's why my goals and what I was tracking changed every quarter. Sometimes I wanted to change it every month, because I was just like, oh yeah, this doesn't work. I have some that I put on my tracker for this first quarter for 2026 that I'm like, oh, I need to leave that alone. But I'll talk about that in the next video. So yeah, that's what I want to close with. I love doing 185 Insane because it created some health and wellness and creativity habits and systems, I suppose, to support those habits. But really the most powerful thing that I understand and that I take from this is that being present allows for me to make informed choices. And if I just allow myself to be present, to find a space where I can take a breath and to look at my options and then to decide what it is that I would like to do without being forced or pressured or influenced externally, but to really be able to be quiet and make those decisions from a space within, is the only thing that really matters. And as long as I make decisions from that centered space, an aligned internal space, I can't lose. Like, I can't lose. So thanks for watching. Let's get into the update for 2026. So I will see y'all in the next video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.